We're here right now. We're just at the start of a huge altcoin season that is going to melt the faces of people across crypto. And if you can position yourself correctly, you stand to make a huge amount of money. People are out there asking me if we should be taking profits right now or whether or not we should be diving in late to some of these projects. In this video, I'm going to clear all that up for you and show you the real facts about where we are and where we're headed. So hit that like button. Let's get into today's video. Now, guys, if you are like me, you're waking up and you're seeing crypto bubbles or another, chart every morning and you're seeing these kind of gains coming in, then you're probably one of two things. Extremely happy because you hold a handful or at least one of these coins, or two, extremely frustrated and you've got the FOMO that someone else is making money and you're not. But don't be alarmed. What we need to do is calm down and think about where we are right now. Well, what's causing this pump? Hear you cry. Well, look at Bitcoin. It's up at $56,000. Well, Ben Cowan and Gareth Soloway are still waiting for 12K. We're up in the money. We're having a good time. So what we really need to know is what happens when Bitcoin does this, what's causing Bitcoin to do this, and basically where the money's going to flow after this. Now, there's a couple of key metrics that I'm going to show you because, I'll have a chart and I like to show you a chart or two. And the first one is this. In the past 2 weeks, over 71% of the new money invested in Bitcoin has originated from spot ETFs, minus Grayscale's GBTC. What does this mean for us? Well, it's institutional funding coming through institutional companies. This is really important because institutions enter into the market before the retail kind of crazy crowd of crypto lovers flood in. Yes, I know you're here and I'm here, but we're like maybe the smart money. Although sometimes we might really fit in kind of other brackets, but that's fine. And another proof that this is institutional money coming in is the fact that just a few days ago, the Bitcoin exchange outflows spiked at something like 18,746 Bitcoin, which is ludicrously big compared to the rest of the time in the market. This has to be from institutional money. Okay, this is such a large sum of money that it can't be from anything else. And be patient. Okay, stick with me. Right? I'm getting to my point. Okay, I'm building it up so that you know what I'm talking about. We can then come across to Coinbase's a volume by customer segment. Now, Coinbase holds money from retailers, retail investors like yourself and myself, but also from institutions. And we can see right now that the institutional money is spiking. Yeah, we are seeing a tiny bit of growth in retail, but really not much. So we're piecing together where we are on this kind of Bitcoin chart and where we're likely to go with Bitcoin, because remember, Bitcoin is the driver behind this market, and I'll explain why that is in just a moment. But if we jump across to DeFiLlama.com, free website, go down to where it says raises, click overview, and if you want, you can go down and see all of the projects that have been raising lots of money recently, which I was talking about through the whole last year or so in the bear market, talking about lots of projects that will be launching this year that we could get a head start on and understand whether or not we wanted to be investing in any of these projects. And a few of these we have been raising for in my Discord communities. So if you want to join pre-ICO raises, then get into the link down below for the inner circle. But most importantly, look at this. This is money raised during this period of time. Now, venture capital funds invest money in crypto and they invest money in new crypto projects. Typically, they do this during bull markets because they hold lots of Ethereum and Bitcoin, and when Bitcoin and Ethereum pump, they take that money, they put it into new projects, and the life cycle goes on. As we can see right now, that we've had a big spike at the top of the last bull market, around $7 billion. Currently, we're floundering around $400 million, and we haven't really seen any particular spike just yet. If we go back to the last bull market, we suddenly saw a bit of a spike coming in around the 1st of December 2020. So what do we do right now? We go back to a chart. We go all the way back to the 1st of December 2020. And that's why I've drawn this big green arrow on the chart, because now it shows me very easily where it is. And we can see that during this little bit of sideways action was when suddenly the big institutions started to dive in on DeFi Llama, which means that approximately, while it might feel like we're kind of already up here, actually in the grand scheme of things, we've just kind of emerged out of this kind of consolidation area and a little bit of a pickup. You can see that this kind of like downswing, see if I can zoom in a little bit. I was talking about this the other day on the video. You see this little downswing, bear trap. Then you roll into kind of the kind of like sort of consolidation. It rolls up. This is what this basically was, in my opinion, was a little bear trap. Now we're kind of on the run. We're on the run up through here. And that is very important for us because look at what happens above. For Bitcoin previously, it did something like a 238% move from about the end of November to mid-February, which is like 2.5 months. No, it's not. It's like 3 months. So potentially in the next 3 months, could be putting in new all-time highs, could even be touching around 100K, which I don't think is unreasonable. And if I show you this incredibly blurry image, it should all make perfect sense to you why I'm so kind of pumped about looking at where Bitcoin is with regards to institutions versus money coming from people like you and me. Well, this, as you can see on the left, in the blurry grey bit, says smart money, okay, which hopefully we are. Although sometimes I see comments on my videos that are less than smart. But the next part, we then see institutional investors, and then you see this kind of bear trap dip. What was I talking about the other day? This potentially was our bear trap dip. Okay, before that move. We then suddenly see at the end of the bear trap dip, finishing off from the institutional investors, which is this sort of first spike, then we start to see media attention. And this is a bit of homework for you. You go away and you look at the news. Maybe you get on Bloomberg, maybe you just sort of see the frequency at which you're starting to see posts talking about Bitcoin going to 50K, going to 60K. Then we can see something interesting going on. Because what we want to start seeing is media attention, which is going to drive people back into the market. How can we tell whether people are entering back into the market? I hear you cry, well, what do new people do in crypto? You were once new, I was once new. What do? You maybe go and search for it on Google. You then eventually realize that people are making crypto videos on YouTube. What a weird way to make a living. And then you realize that there are kind of like a few crypto videos that will probably pop up before others, typically the biggest channels. So what do? We go to socialblade.com, free website. We can go to Coin Bureau, the biggest YouTuber in the space, make some pretty decent videos about kind of state of the market, but mostly kind of like breakdowns of different coins and things like that. And why I'm using this is if you want to come down and look at the monthly gained views and then the monthly gained subscribers. If you look during the last bull market, where it topped out, you see like very similar patterns. And you can go and look at like Ben Cowan's channel, Crypto Lark, and other kind of like big general kind of Bitcoin channels and other just general crypto channels, because they tend to spike around the top of the bull market, and then they don't really sort of tend to grow that much. In fact, you can look at Coin Bureau, whilst it did sort of see continual growth, there was times through last year while the market was picking up, where smaller channels like mine were gaining lots of subscribers, but Coin Bureau, with like 2 million subscribers, wasn't gaining anyone. That means that everyone was already in the space. They're not gaining anyone new. However, we're now starting to see gaining 20,000 subscribers a month. We're starting to see the views starting to tick up, telling us that maybe Coin Bureau is making better videos. No, it's not. I actually think maybe the videos aren't as good as they used to be. Probably shouldn't say that. But actually, it's simply showing us that there's maybe a little start, the retail money coming back into the space. Do you get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Okay, so if we know that the institutions have been driving this move, and we know that the retail is yet to flood the market, and the retail is usually responsible for one of the biggest kind of phases in the growth of Bitcoin, then we could anticipate that Bitcoin could well be due to pump very quickly, very bloody hard, and you won't even be ready for it. But what's most important is when Bitcoin is pumping like 10%, and it has like $1 trillion valuation, is that it creates $100 billion within the crypto community. Remember, Bitcoin is the gateway. So when Bitcoin's driving, that money can then flow in. $100 billion of Bitcoin flooding into other projects is an enormous wad of cash and has the ability to really drive up the value. And that's where the altcoin season comes from. That's why, despite the fact that many coins have been pumping really hard, we're still very early. Okay, so 2 things I want to talk about: when to take profits and where's this money going right now? How do we pick the next move? Well, it's kind of reasonably straightforward. When it comes to taking profits, I've told you this time and time again. There's 2 reasons that you're like asking questions about whether to take profits or not. First reason, you don't really know why you invested in that project in the first place. Maybe you just invested in it because I talked about it, or Alex Becker talked about it, or someone else talked about it, and you're like, wow, this sounds really good. And then happened to do a 5x, and you're like, well, I'm the Warren Buffett of crypto, and, come and get me. But then, it starts to maybe stall for a day or 2, and you're like, fuck, am I going to lose everything? Should I stay? Should I go? And what we really need to do is basically understand what I've invested in. That's the first thing, okay? If I've invested in something that actually is very exciting, for example, AGI, Delesium, which I talked about on the channel, you can see back 3 months ago, when we're literally down in this dip down here, and we can see that we're up around 12, 13x since then. So if you're not subscribed, should be, well, you'll understand that, yeah, we've had a massive rally towards the upside. Things are very strong looking right now. We are having a little bit of a pullback. But if you've invested for like a longer period of time and you understand what AGI is and you understand that maybe AI agents are one of the most exciting things in the entire crypto market right now, and that this week there's a huge crypto event called ETH Denver in, guess where? Denver. And there's going to be a big talk going on with AI agents unleashed, OLAS, a bunch of others I've talked about, and one here, Fala Network, which I talked about last night on my live stream, then you might have a bit more kind of courage to stay in. Here's another thing. If you're also asking, like, should I be getting out or whatever, then it's also because you haven't really got much of a guide for yourself of where you should be taking money out and what you should be going forward with. Why? Well, because you haven't sat down and written out, well, I want to turn my $1,000 right now into $10,000 by the end of the bull market, and I've also done a 10x in Delesium, then maybe I should be taking out a good $8,000 and using it towards whatever I was supposed to be doing, and maybe keep a couple of thousand in for play so that, you can continue to kind of grow it and pull out your profits as you go. However, if you are looking at a longer term play and you believe in kind of Delesium or whatever's going on, then I still would recommend maybe after it goes to around the 3 or so X from what you bought it at, you'll pull out your original investment. You can put that original investment in something like Bitcoin, where we can still anticipate upside potential going forward. Every coin, whether it's AGI or Render or Casper or ICP or SIDRs, will eventually have a pullback because people take money and active traders will always take money from the high and move it to other coins that are yet to pump. So simply put, should I take profits? Well, again, no one can give you the answer for that but you. Should you take profits? Well, ultimately, probably once it's been pumping hard, understand that people will take money out of it. There's no coin that's any different, and avoid kind of like these cult-like mentality of like, oh, diamond hands and you have paper hands and you're not as hard as me because you press sell and I didn't sell. Only you know how much you need to get out of this in order to be profitable. If you pull out a certain amount, you might feel upset that that price continues to move up, but if you've left some in there for the play, then you're going to be happy with it. AGI could continue to see significant growth, in my opinion, given where it's at right now, but yeah, wouldn't surprise me if it does have a little bit of a pullback. No one out there is going to tell you for certain exactly where it pulls back and how far it pulls back to, so just manage yourself. But what I would do in this situation, as someone who has been holding AGI and made some money and has been taking out some money, is take out some money and put it into the next best thing. Leave some money in there for play. The reason you're kind of like wanting to hold onto that coin is because you don't really know that there's so many other opportunities out there already. You could pull a load of money out of this, find another AGI that does the same, and you get another 360, 400% in just the space of a couple of weeks. So what do I know? Well, when it comes to a narrative or a coin or whatever it is, when it pumps and when it gets moving, it tends to indicate that other coins within that area will likely move. Okay, how do we know this? Think about meme coins. When in the past we've seen a big meme coin explode, like Pepe, you then get other meme coins following along. For example, in the end of the year, we got Bonk exploding, you then got Coquino following along, tends to see similar moves within the narrative. Okay, so AGI, an AI agent, on the Ethereum ecosystem blowing up. Agents Unleashed, happening in Denver. Here's a list of different agents. Now, a few I've already talked about. OLAS I talked about in a video the other day. Polywrap doesn't have a token at the moment, but worth paying attention to. Gensin doesn't have a token at the moment, but it's also a very, very cool project and definitely worth learning about. Nevermind, also very interesting and very cool. However, there is one here, Fala Network, which, again, talked about last night, that does have a token. Not only does it have a token, but if you come across and look at the website, then you'll understand that it crosses a few different areas that I personally am very interested in, such as being one of the biggest deep-in networks available in the entire space. It's also started to recently implement AI and the use of AI agents, which is the cutting edge. Like, if ChatGPT was like this last year's thing, and next year's thing is AI agents. Effectively, AI, if we think like traditional large language models, etc., like ChatGPT, basically learns loads of information and can reproduce it back towards you, but it can't take any action on it. AI agents have access to all that information from the large language models, and then they can go and act on it and carry out different tasks and things like that, which is why AI is such an exciting thing and will be so useful in the future. So come across, find out more about Fala Network. Looks pretty cool. Going to be participating in that ETH Denver event. Going to get some more market exposure, other bits and pieces. Come back to the chart and get ready to say, holy shit, he's right. Maybe I'm right. I think I might be right. Same narrative, similar kind of like thing going on. Something that, we've seen a big pump in AGI. Lots of people doing what I'm doing right now. The degens looking out there for like the next one to get moving. Where do we look? Well, we look at ones that haven't really kind of shown much sign of excitement and movement yet. And look at it. Do you see what I see? we get a very similar looking chart. Okay, we have obviously this big spike up here. We get kind of like a failed breakout. We then kind of have a run down. We come up, we retest, we fail, we break through eventually. We kind of like trickle along. Suddenly we break through. We have this little bubble here, which is where I think we are right now. And suddenly, all of a sudden, AGI goes, thank you very much, and then shoots up 384% since 14th of February. Happy Valentine's. Now, so what we're looking at is a potential, not guarantee, of course, that this coin is going to do something very similar to the other coin. And look, it's a very similar pattern that allowed us to call on this channel multiple times that AVAX was about to explode. We then saw ICP doing a very similar thing. Okay, so AVAX kind of cut ahead. It broke out just after Solana, which did something very similar. Around the 7th of November, AVAX breaks free. Then you see about a month later, ICP doing the exact same thing. Okay, and yes, lots of people are like, I really like ICP. Other people are like, I really like AVAX. Guys, people will use these coins to trade. Big money that are driving these are just using these to trade. And that's how these pumps happen. They also do it in coordination with market makers from various exchanges. So yes, it's important that we get the narrative and we get like kind of people getting hyped up and stuff behind it and good marketing and all those different bits and pieces. But ultimately, it's a money-making exercise. And that's what we're here for. Don't get attached to these coins. That's what we're in this for. And this is how you find really great setups. Now, guys, I hope you enjoyed that little insight into the world of crypto and what's going on right now in my personal opinion. Remember, nothing is financial advice. Always do your own research. But hopefully, by now, you've understood that this is a very exciting opportunity and we are very, very early. So do me a favor, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed because otherwise you might miss out on that next 5x pump. And I will see you tomorrow in another video. Bye-bye.